Hi there guys, and welcome to my first Palace review of the season. Palace against Everton, opening game for both teams of the new Premier League season, has finished 0-0. A boring 0-0 in many aspects. I managed to watch the game out here in Turkey, so I'll obviously give you my thoughts on the game. So first of all, starting lineup pretty similar to what I predicted. Very much the players that were available last season. None of the new signings made an appearance, apart from technically Ayew, if you like. He started up front. Camarasa and McCarthy were both on the bench, and Cahill. None of them featured. Wilf also on the bench as well. So it was a very strong bench, and it kind of shows that as the season goes on, we will have quite a lot of depth, which is something that we were lacking last season, which is a good sign, even if the main positions we wanted to address in the window weren't properly addressed. But my initial reaction to the game, really good point. I think a lot of us went into it thinking the worst. I said in my preview, I think Everton would win, and I think we'd do well to snatch a draw. And in the end, we managed to snatch that draw, and in many ways, I think we should have won it. First half, very much all Everton, I thought that it started off, they missed a golden chance a few minutes in. Sigurdsson really scuffed a cutback from Bernard, and he really scuffed. There was no one there around him, and he scuffed his effort wide, and really should have put it on target at least, if not scored. And then really it was all Everton. We had two banks of four, setting up 4-4-2, how I predicted, and we looked to try and break quite quickly. The problem was when we got the ball, seemed to be hoofing it forward aimlessly, not really any tactics behind it. Equally, when Everton had the ball, they weren't as big of a threat. As I said, they had that chance, and they did look dangerous in and around the area, but didn't really test us very much. Kind of changed towards the end of the first half. We had a succession of corners, and we won a lot of headers. Really good block. Maya had a great chance, cut in on his right foot. Really good block from Keane. It was going in as well, and that could have been a game-changing goal. It's a bit of a cliche, but it was definitely a game where the first goal would have changed the game, for sure. I think that whoever got the first goal would have definitely gone on to have won the game, in my opinion. I think it was one of those sort of matches. Second half as well, Everton started more lively, but I have to say I think that we had the better of the chances second half. Some great crosses. First of all, a flicked on ball from Benteke, a through ball from Benteke. I thought, in my opinion, Benteke had a really good game today. Won a lot of headers, was unfortunately didn't have many runners coming off of his flicked headers, but he did his job well. And there were a couple of times where he tracked back and won the ball, one possession back for the team, and launched us onto an attack, and that's something that we rarely ever see Benteke do. So I was very impressed with that. All that was missing for him really was an assist from his flicks or a goal, and he should have got an assist. Played in that Ayew around 60th minute, and Ayew, acres of space, onside, one-on-one, opened up his body to put it into the far corner, tried to then go through Pickford's legs, and it was an easy save for Pickford. Should have either gone left and gone around Pickford and put it in, tapped it in, or just curled it right foot into the far corner. Did neither, and it goes back to what our problem was last season, taking chances. You know, that should have been 1-0, and then we followed that up with a great chance for Maya. Ball dropped to him from a cutback, and instead of, again, loads of acres of space, Townsend, I think this time, played him in, and acres of space, not really a one-on-one, but it could have been a one-on-one if he just hit it first time on his right foot, again, curling it into the far corner. Instead, he put it onto his left foot, and he struck a really well-struck shot, but straight at Pickford again, and that was a minute later from the Ayew chance, and really, that was where the game changed for me. I think if one of them went in, and one of those should have gone in, we would have gone on to win the game. Schneiderlin got sent off for a second yellow with 15 minutes to go, and in my mind that didn't really affect things too much. Normally you'd expect the side with 11 men to show that man advantage. For us, I think it was just more of a case of not giving anything silly away on the counter, and it almost made the game a little bit more flat, a little bit more dead. It was quite, I wouldn't say end to end, but there were chances with 11 v 11. When it went down to 10 men for Everton, the game went a little bit dead, a little bit flat, and it was more crosses in and, scrambles around the box. Wilf came on, and it was quite a good reception when he came on, which was good to see. I think that there's no point booing him. I think that there was some advice that was given to him from his agent. We know he's wanted to go since the start of the summer to a European level club and to better himself. So I don't think that it was the sort of I was happy with the reaction he got off the bench. Didn't have the best of games really, tried to make things happen, lost the ball a couple of times, but managed to launch us onto a few attacks as well, doing what he does best, running at defenders. I think that in a few weeks' time this will all be put behind him, and he will just focus on his football until obviously the January window comes around again. Then obviously it'll all come back up again, but I think for the first few weeks, I think he may have some poor performances, but after that I think he'll get into the swing of things, and we'll just put it behind us. But overall, have to say, good point. I would have absolutely ripped your hand off for a point. Just get up the ball rolling. We've lost, and since the first time since 2011 that we've got a point or better in our first home game of the season. So we always lose at home first game of the season, and against Everton, who were obviously we've been heavily linked with over the last few days. I'm very, very impressed with how we've, especially in defence. I think Dan and Kelly did very well. Obviously, the first few minutes was a bit iffy. First moments in the first half where they gave the ball away quite cheaply. But I have to say, I think that Kelly was fantastic. Ward did very well, and he's always Mr. Reliable. I think Ward, although he has lost that yard of pace that he didn't really have to lose in the first place, his defensive positioning and his defensive mindset normally helps him out when he gets into bad spots and bad positions. And I thought him and Kelly were, either one of them would have been my man of the match for today. I thought they were brilliant. So clean sheet, obviously no goals, and the thing I take away from it most is those missed chances, and it kind of summed up that was our problem last season, and hopefully we don't have a season of that again, because it'll be very, very frustrating, especially the fact we haven't addressed that striker problem in the window as well. And there were signs today that we needed that sort of striker and that, you know, person who one-on-one, you know, will put it away. We could have done with that today. But I am not happy. I'm not upset with the point at all. I think that's a good way to start a season off. Hopefully we can go away to Sheffield United. They got a good point away at Bournemouth today. Hopefully we can go away to them in the next week, and, you know, just get something there. That'll be in many ways a tougher game, I think, than today. No offence to Everton, I just think newly promoted team, first game at home, very tough time to play them. But my thoughts, 0-0, happy, clean sheet, point on the board. It's a good start, solid start, and we can work on this, get a week for the new signings, a further week for the new signings to adapt and to build on that point as well. So there are my thoughts, guys. Obviously, comment your thoughts down below. Are you happy with the 0-0? Anything you took away from the game? Also, if you were at the game, let me know how you felt about the crowd and the reaction and the atmosphere in general, and also your thoughts towards Wilf when he came on. Love to know all of that stuff, but also comment anything you have, any thoughts you have on the game down below. Our season's underway, 1 point, 0-0 against Everton. Bit of a boring 0-0, but I don't really care. It's a good point, and we go on next week against Sheffield United. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Thank you guys for watching.